Good morning. It is Saturday morning and I am heading to see my best friend in the world, Kristen, and we are going to meet up for our annual Christmas gift exchange. So I'm going to risk looking like an idiot talking to myself, and I am going to do a homemaker tag. A dear friend of mine from the UK, Chloe, who you might have seen some of her videos after watching our collaboration on morning routines, and if not, I'll link that below so you can check it out. She did one, and there's also the original homemaker tag, at least that's what it says on, I think, Glitters and Groceries, and I'll link that one as well. So I figured I would do one and just kind of give you guys an idea of me as a homemaker, and you know, different questions and answer them, and maybe encourage some of you to do the same thing, or maybe even encourage you to change your outlook about homemaking or to embrace it or whatever. So I will probably go through this again and see what the questions I do are, because I don't have a list in front of me. I don't want to be reading, so I'm kind of going by memory. Question number one, did I always want to be a homemaker? No, actually I didn't. I wanted to be a mom and I wanted to be a lawyer. And the story's a little long on how those things kind of came about, but I'm not a lawyer. I pursued it mildly, but ended up getting my going to school for healthcare administration, and I worked a number of years in that. A few years ago, I came home, and you know, I just knew after my daughter was born that this was where I belonged, and it was what my calling was. And that kind of leads into the question, does your husband support it, or how does he feel about it? And honestly, at first, my husband was, I'm gonna adjust the volume on this because I'm not sure this is gonna be picking me up. I hope so. Sorry about that. My husband at first was, I don't want to say not supportive, but he was very stressed out. I had lost my job and we were a two-income family. And when I say two-income family, I don't just mean that we earned two incomes. I mean that our lifestyle depended on two incomes. So it was very difficult when I lost my job to handle the continued expenses, because your income gets cut, but of course, your bills don't go down just because your income goes down, right? So I came home after losing my job, and my husband was like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to stay home. And he just kind of looked at me like, how are we going to deal with this? How are we going to handle this? And I said, you know what? I trust that you're going to be able to provide for us. You're going to do whatever it takes, and I'm not the least bit worried about it. So I had complete faith in him that he could do what he needed to do to get us taken care of. So he did. He stepped up, and it wasn't that he wasn't stepping up before, but now he really had to step up because my income was gone. And we were in Arizona, and he applied for a job, several of them in Arizona, and he was working, but he wanted to find something that would have more of a future. So he ended up getting an offer from a university in Rhode Island, and he asked me how I felt about it. I said, I don't care where we go as long as I'm with you. And next thing I know, he's moving to Rhode Island about 3 months after I lost my job. And it took me a year to sell our house in Arizona, and then I joined him. So now we're all in Rhode Island as a family. And he would not have me go back to work now unless it was absolutely necessary. He loves me being home. My job is the house, and he lets me embrace that. He lets me raise the kids. He lets me homeschool them. And when I use the term lets, I don't mean that he would prevent me from doing something. He's not giving me permission, so to speak, but he provides for us so that I can embrace my role as a mom and a wife. So he is absolutely supportive of this now. It took him a while to grow into it, but once he did, and once he realized how valuable me as a homemaker is, he really, really embraced it. So I was at a stop sign for a stoplight for a little while. I'm coming up to another one. Okay, I'm going to keep my eyes on the road if I'm actually moving, so don't think I'm being rude for not looking at the camera. But now I'm at a red light. So that's that. What time do I go to bed or get up in the morning? I am a night owl. I really am trying to get more sleep, and it's just not working. I try to go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and if I do, my husband's like, what, are you sick? So if I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, I end up laying there for 2 or 3 hours. So I just don't go to bed until midnight or 1. I get up, right now I'm on vacation, I'm in Arizona with my kids, so I don't have to get up in the morning. But when I'm back home and I'm preparing breakfast for my husband, I'm up at 7. I may try to get up a little bit earlier when I get back home. We'll be moved into a new house and I have a lot of stuff to do to take care of that. So I might try to get up a little bit earlier. But for right now, I get up at 7, I prepare him breakfast, pack a lunch, and then I have my coffee. And that kind of leads into, what do you do for yourself? In the morning is my coffee time. And I try to do devotions every morning. I have a very strong faith, as you might be able to tell by the name of my page, which is God's Way at Casa Edwards, which is what we call our house. So I try to do a devotion or at least a Bible reading every morning. And that's kind of my time for myself. Now my kids, who are home with me all day, I homeschool. Eliza will be 5 in February, and Gage just turned 11 in November. They generally will not come downstairs until 8 o'clock. They know the rule that Dad leaves and Mom gets her 30 minutes of quiet time. So I've been implementing this for about the last 2 years, and they have no issues with it at all. So to those who have kids who are really energetic in the morning, and I apologize if that didn't flow right. It ended. I had to go back and see where it ended, so I'm hoping that between the last one and this one it wasn't too terrible. But for those who have kids that are, you know, fairly active in the morning, it's not hard to get them to adjust to something if you're persistent or consistent, I guess, about it. So I would just set what we do is I tell my daughter, look for this number in the first number of the clock, and then when it's that number, you can come out of your room and come down. And I just say it's the number 8. So she's come down at 8 o'clock and said, there's an 8. And she's come down at 8:52 and said, I was playing in my room. So, you know, either way, but it gives me my 30 minutes. And it is important as moms, as wives, whichever you might be, that you get time to yourself. And for some women, it works better in the morning. For others, it's the evening. I get both. I get my morning coffee to get me going and my reading, my devotion or Bible reading. And then I get the nighttime because I am up so late. My husband goes to bed by about 10:30. And, you know, I get a couple hours after that to do what I want to do, whether it's just check emails or watch a show or just enjoy the silence. So let me think. What was another question? What part of homemaking do I particularly enjoy or not enjoy? I don't know that I really don't enjoy any aspect of it. You know, including like the chores and things like that. I mean, yes, there's cleaning and there's grocery shopping and meal planning and taking care of the kids and homeschooling. I mean, all of this for me, my personal homemaking journey includes a lot of different things. But I don't know that I don't enjoy any one part of it, because if it wasn't me doing it, who else would do it? I am the type of person that I don't want my husband doing the things around the house, not because he's not capable at all. He was capable before he met me. But I don't want him doing them because he is already at a job. He already goes to a job. He leaves the house at 7 o'clock. He can get off work at 4:30. He generally doesn't, though, because he's the type who doesn't like to leave something halfway done. So he'll end up staying and finishing whatever particular case he's working on. So he gets done later, and then there are nights during the week that he goes with a friend of his from work, a co-worker / friend, and he helps him work on houses. This particular guy buys houses and then not turns them over, he rents them out. And they're apartment style houses, East Coast style apartment style houses. And my husband helps him fix those up so he can rent them out. And it's a job, he gets paid to do it. And then on the weekends during the kids sports season, he does photography. This same guy has a photography business, and he does pictures for the kids, for their photos for their sports teams. And my husband helps with that. So, you know, he does more than enough to provide for us that I just don't feel that he needs to do anything at home. So if I was at a full-time job, which I have been before while we had our 2 kids, I had to come home. I still got stuff done. And some people and some of you may have the attitude, well, if we're both working, then we both need to do it, you know, together. And there's nothing wrong with that way of thinking at all. It's just not my way of thinking. I like the stuff in my house a certain way. I like things put back a certain way. I like my towels folded a certain way. I'm not OCD at all, but I like things the way I like them. And I think we're all like that, but maybe some of us care more about certain aspects than others. I'm just really picky, I guess. I'll admit it. But I like to do it. It brings me joy to take care of my family. So now that I'm home, I consider it a privilege to serve God and to serve my family in this way. And God has put me in this place now and moved my husband's heart to also embrace my role. So I'm not going to dishonor that by not doing it well. So I can't think of a part I don't like. Now, do I love every task and every chore? No, I don't love it. But my kids are a huge help. Since she was 2, my daughter's been scrubbing the toilet. My kids know how to do laundry. They know how to sweep, how to mop, how to make their beds, change their sheets. I'm not a slave driver, but these are things they're going to have to know how to do when they get out of the house. So if I ask them to do it, they are more than happy to help me. And that makes my job a lot easier. And homeschooling them is a task in and of itself, but we have a great time together. So I love that part of it. I love to grocery shop. I hate regular shopping, but I love to grocery shop. I love to find deals and to meal plan and to feed my family healthy things. And I'm not always successful. We have breakfast with dinner sometimes, or breakfast for dinner sometimes, which I admit I think is the best. But, you know, I strive to be the best at what I do, but not compared to someone else. And the expression comparison is the thief of joy is very true. And it's ironic because I've had some of my friends who are homemakers say to me, I wish I could do as much as you do and do it as well. And I think the same thing about them. And I'm like, wow, thanks. Because I think we always think we could do better. We always think that we're not doing enough. And that so-and-so down the road or so-and-so across the country, across the globe, oh my gosh, every time she's on camera, she looks perfect. And, you know, the scenery in the background, her desk is always neat and all this. And how does she do that? And we look at our own thing and we haven't folded that load of laundry yet, or we haven't cleaned up the dishes from breakfast and it's 4 o'clock and, you know, our husband's going to be home soon, stuff like that. And we always put ourselves down for where we are. And the truth of the matter is that nobody else is living your life, and nobody else has the same goals that you have or the same standards that you have. And most people who know me, and now I guess you'll know this too, know that my standards are ridiculously high, like stupid high, but they're my standards. They're not my standards for other people. And so I don't care how other people keep their homes or what they do or what their priorities are, because that's theirs. And if they're happy with it, go them. But I have a certain set of standards. And if I don't meet those, I'm not critical of myself. And I don't think, wow, you're a failure. You know, that's not it at all. But because I embrace my role as a homemaker so much, and because I feel so privileged to do it, I strive to meet those standards. But at the same time, if something doesn't get checked off a list, then you know what? It's there the next day. And so I don't stress out about it. So I hope that makes sense. Let me see. Oh, I should have read my list before I left, my question list before I left. I'm going to take a little pause while I think about the questions. Okay, how do I think it would impact my family if I went back to work? You know, kids they adjust. Okay, we know they adjust to most circumstances. I would be the one it would affect if I went back to work. I would miss my kids. I would miss, you know, the scenery in the background. Her desk is always neat and all this. And how does she do that? And we look at our own thing and we haven't folded that load of laundry yet, or we haven't cleaned up the dishes from breakfast and, you know, our husband's going to be home soon. So I'm not a slave driver, but these are things they're going to have to know how to do when they get out of the house. So if I ask them to do it, they are more than happy to help me. And that makes my job a lot easier. And the things I get to do, it just wouldn't be good. And it would impact them because I wouldn't be there for them when they needed me. You know, I think if someone can be home when their kids come home from school, that's the very least. And some people it's just not possible at the moment to do that. And like I said before, we all do what we need to do. But for me, I like to be able to address things when they happen. What bothered me when my kids were in school, or when my son was in school, because my daughter wasn't old enough, I would get these things, and my son's a great kid, and he doesn't cause problems. He's very smart. And it's not an, oh, my kid is so great thing at all. I'm not patting him on the back, but he knows the rules and he follows them, and he doesn't, you know, he never caused issues. But I would get these stupid things from school, and this is nothing against anybody's particular school. This was my child's school. And they do that dumb green, yellow, red behavior thing. What is that? I'm sorry. And he strove for a green every day, which, poor kid, okay? And he didn't have to try real hard at all. He's a good kid. So one time he gets something, he was so upset, and he had a yellow, and I said, oh, it's all right, we'll talk about it. Let's see what happened. He had a yellow, and it was because, and I followed up with the teacher afterwards, and she confirmed it. They had their desks set up in 4, you know, 2 facing each other, and his friend across the way, she had dropped her pencil and it rolled away. Well, he quietly, didn't say a word, quietly got out of his seat and picked up her pencil and gave it to her. Did what any gentleman would do, and he got a yellow because he got out of his seat without asking permission. To this day, 3 years later, that still irritates me. So, you know, things like that you're going to tell my child that their behavior wasn't good enough. He lost 10 minutes of recess time of the whole 20 minutes they get. He lost 10 minutes of recess time and got a yellow for doing that. And I was done. And I'll rant about school another time. That's not what this particular post is. But what my point is with that is that I want to be able to address, I don't want to have to wait till he gets home to find out that he did something that maybe he shouldn't have done. I want to be able to deal with it right then and there. Now, if he had dropped his sister has dropped her pencil at home and he decided to pick it up for her, sorry, he wouldn't get punished. I'd be like, wow, that's a really nice thing to do. And it would be different if he made a bunch of noise or he was, you know, obvious about it. But I know my son, and he's just not like, he does not call attention to himself. He's just not like that. So that was a little irritating to me. And now that they're home with me, if there is a problem or an issue or a challenge or whatever you want to call it, I get to address it right then and there in the way that I think is right and according to God's way. And that is what's important. So that's that. My family it would not be good for me if I went back to work at all, and it would not be good for them, frankly. We could do it, because I'm not going to say we can't, but it's not what's best. And if you are home and you feel that you are called to be home, then you do what you need to do to keep that going. And we moved, and I will give you an example. When we were in Arizona, we lived in a rather, well, I thought it was an average size house, but that's just because I'm me. Our house is 4,300 square feet. It was a beautiful home. We had it built. And the house, I was never in love with the house. I am not a material person at all. We just happened to get a deal on the house, and things on new builds were really, really good at the time. And Arizona, if anybody knows anything about it, the price of homes in Arizona, you get a lot for your money. Well, we went out to Rhode Island, and we discovered how much you got in Arizona for your money, because we didn't get nearly that much in Rhode Island. So we're renting a house right now that's maybe a quarter of the size. We had 3 bathrooms. We now have 1. We had 4 bedrooms, 2 extra rooms, just a lot of space. Now we have 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and barely enough space to do what we have to do. And I am no less happy now than I am or than I was here in Arizona in our larger home. Now we're purchasing a house right now. It's a colonial. Super excited, and I'll post links to that once we move in and kind of our process of moving in and stuff. But that house is, I think, 1,800 square feet, but it's got so much character and it's just so exciting. But we were willing to downsize to keep the lifestyle we decided we want, which was me home. We were willing to downsize to do that. We worked to pay off our vehicles, we worked to pay off debt, and it really is worth it to do those things if you feel that it's your calling. And if it's not, it's okay. And that's the thing, is this is not everybody's calling. I just know it's mine. And so I really want to make sure that I do what I need to do to keep it going. Now I am pulling into where I'm meeting my girlfriend, and there's a ton of restaurants here, so I have to find it, but I will continue this later. I'll probably go through it and watch it to make sure I'm not missing anything, but I will definitely talk to you soon. Okay. So I just got done with lunch with my best friend. Had an amazing time. She's doing great, and we always have such fun together. 2.5 hours went by much too quickly. But another question that I can answer is, do you see yourself remaining a homemaker even after your kids are gone? And absolutely, my home is not going to take care of itself just because my kids aren't there. In fact, I'm going to have more to do when my kids aren't there, because my kids are a huge help. So I really can't see me not being there to do it. I might have more time to do certain things because I'm not homeschooling at that point, but I will definitely want to be home. Now, I had said earlier that I really don't think that there's anything about homemaking I don't like. So about homemaking itself, no. The one thing that I think about sometimes is that it would be easier at times if my kids went to school. And you know, I don't get a lot personally done for myself. That would be, you know, if you were to ask me what sacrifices have I made, a sacrifice to me is something of necessity that you give up so that somebody else can have what they need. So I haven't made any true sacrifices because all of my needs are truly met. But one of the things is, I used to, when I was in healthcare administration, I worked at a medical practice. I ran a medical practice, and they also, the owners of that also had a medical spa. And it was a high-risk pregnancy office, and this medical spa could served people who were pregnant, and so massages, facials, they had a place for you to get your nails done, pedicures, things like that, all pregnancy safe. Well, I used to get all of these services done at no charge. And I got a little spoiled, but the only thing I paid for was the tip. And so my nails were always done, my feet were always smooth, my face was always taken care of, you know, so it was really nice. And then I left there and that ended. But I didn't pay for those things. So now, you know, I get my nails done maybe 4 times a year, which is not a sacrifice in and of itself. So I'm absolutely not saying that it is. But there are days that I'm like, you know, I'd really like to just go do something like that for myself. But to me, and this is me personally, to me, the kids, I would be sacrificing the well-being of my kids to do those things for myself. So even on those days that I say, hey, it'd be really nice if the kids just got on a bus and went to school, it's not worth it to me to do that. So I continue to do what I think is the right thing. And I know that later on, I know that I'll be able to do do those things that I, quote, am missing out on. But there are times I'll look at my friends' posts on Facebook and, oh yeah, going to do this, going to do that, just drop the kids off for, you know, morning kindergarten or whatever. And I was like, wow. And, you know, sometimes that's hard. And my husband would support the kids going to school. He doesn't feel as strongly as me about homeschooling, but he knows how important it is to me. But he also knows I wouldn't do anything that would jeopardize their future. So if I were to say this is what I want to do, he would support the decision. And even if it was to give myself some more freedom, he would support it. But that's not what we're called to do. That's not what I'm called to do. And so if anybody watching this struggles at all with those feelings of, you know, I feel like I'm giving up so much to do so much for my family, it's because God is planning a great future for you. God is planning ultimate blessings for you. And it, you know, you can't worry about why he's called you to be where you are today. You know, you do what he wants you to do, and then you wait for him to shower his blessings on you, and he will. So that's that. And I'm not sure if I went on a tangent there, if I actually answered the question. I don't know, but I kind of feel like I had to speak that. So hopefully that will reach somebody. But I am going to end this here because I believe between the 3 or 4 different segments I have, it's going to be long enough. I will link the things I said below, and I will list my questions. If you have any comments or anything, let me know if this encouraged you. If you have questions, a specific question, you know, ask me, and I will definitely answer that in another video. I am brand new at doing all of this, but I have a lot to say and a lot to offer and a lot of encouragement to give. So hopefully it reaches one of you and you're impacted by it. But the most important thing is that we do retain a faith, that we put God first. Not always easy. It is, but it isn't. But that we put God first and we try to do things according to his plan. So if anybody needs prayer or anything, please put that below and I will be happy to put you on my prayer list. And no prayer is too small. And that is it for now. So I will be back with a video at some point. But definitely subscribe if you enjoy watching, and I will be back soon. Have a good day.